Darryl Reynolds, D-Ray, affectionately known here on the Sports Bash. He's the co-host of the Processed Podcast. He's a 2016 national champion with the Villanova Wildcats. And, D-Ray, we got a lot going on. Obviously, we like to talk hoops, and right now there are no hoops to talk about, and I'd love to get your take on what the messaging is right now. And there's a lot of people wanting to know, was that the right move? Did you look at that and say, yes, that's something that the NBA players should have done when they decided not to play last night? And obviously today either.
When they decided not to play last night, I was definitely proud. To be honest, it was like his name's been thrown around a lot by Kyrie Irving. Just deserves so many apologies because he had it right. Like, until real change is made, entertainment shouldn't even be in the question. You know what I mean? I know basketball is really serious for a lot of us, obviously me included, but it's entertainment at the end of the day. I was kind of disappointed to find out they were getting back to the season, to be honest. I feel like the whole point of postponing the season was to kind of do it until something tangible happened. But I understand I'm not in that meeting, so I don't really know what happened with that either.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people were wondering, were they going to end the season? Should they resume it? And they made the decision today to go on and play the rest of the year and play this thing out. I know there's a lot that goes into this, man. I mean, they're down in this bubble. Their families aren't there. They've been down there for a couple of weeks now. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that goes in, but are you okay with the decision to continue the season?
No. I didn't like that. Like I said, I wasn't in that meeting, so obviously I understand that that's on the players. But to me, the whole point of doing that in the first place was to do it until something changed. Now, obviously, like it's been times before, they may know something that me and you don't. But I haven't seen anything, tangibly happen for them to continue play. I feel like the whole point of sitting out or postponing this way is to, okay, we're doing this until a change is actually made. But it's a lot of powerful guys in that meeting, a lot of powerful guys in that league. So hopefully behind the scenes they're moving, but I got to be honest, on the surface, it wasn't the best feeling.
The one thing that I think we can take out of this when it comes to, one of the things, when it comes to the other leagues stepping up, it feels more like it's not so much, the leagues are doing this, the leagues are doing that. It's more the players. All of the players are stepping up. And, there's players in there that are of color. There's players in there that are white. Everyone is standing up as one saying, we need change. It's more about the players in the locker rooms, in the clubhouses, are the ones really coming together as professional athletes and not so much individualized sports. But the one target, the people we need to target at this point isn't Mike Gill and myself, who we clearly understand the message. We see the big-time issues. It's the people that are, we're not watching the NBA anymore. It's too political. I'm going to go watch hockey or some other sport. Well, now they are not getting the sport that they want, and I think that is what is huge. What are your thoughts on that?
It is. It definitely is. At the end of the day, like you said, the players taking a stand is a little different than the league. The league can make a statement. The league can say certain things, but, nobody's just buying an NFL jersey. Nobody's buying just a jersey with an NBA logo on it. You want it because it's your player. Your favorite player has that jersey. So them stepping up is huge. And I honestly hope it's a domino effect. I'm not a huge follower of hockey, but I've heard several players say they were disappointed with the lack. I guess the best way to put it, the lack of communication as far as what they plan to do in the NHL, and everybody's dealing with it differently. But to me, it kind of doesn't matter. It's on the players, not so much of the leagues at this point.
D-Ray, you look at, the way this has been going, and for all intents and purposes, it seemed that, that the NBA, I will tell you this, okay? I know a lot of people. Now, the asterisk I will put on it is that they seem to trend in an older demographic, okay? They're older white guys for the most part. They will tell me, I don't watch the NBA anymore. I don't like all this stuff being thrown in my face. So do you think that the messaging was or was not working?
In what sense?
Well, the fact that the players wanted to play, but they wanted the chance to have, a chance to get messaging out there. They have, stuff on their back of their jerseys, Black Lives Matters on the court. A lot of people told me that turned them off. Doesn't turn me off. Doesn't bother me at all. I get it. But do you think that was working, that the messages that they originally came up with, having the things on the back, having the Black Lives Matter on the court, that was working?
Absolutely, because the point of it was to bring awareness. Me and Bros had talked about that on Process. Like, we were going back and forth before they even started. When Kyrie Irving first made his comments about we shouldn't even start playing, I was just like, I got to be honest. I'm for them playing because you can't look away from it. It's different when an NBA player is tweeting versus when they're in a game or the post-game press conference or whatever. Like, it just takes on a different level. You know what I mean? You can mute a tweet, but if you're watching the game, you can't get away from the commentators talk about it. You can't get away from the comments on the jersey. It's really in your face, and that's what a lot of this time is about. It's about just bringing issues to the surface. When they do come to the surface, obviously there's some people that don't want to hear it. There's still people out there saying things that kind of go against the basic just human right of being able to live without the fear of your own government killing you. I don't understand why it's so complicated for people to understand. It's not a political thing. We're talking about human beings fearing for their lives because of the color of their skin. I don't see how it gets any simpler than that. But their messaging was working. And there's people who, at the end of the day, to me, if you don't want to buy into what they're saying at this point, or if you don't want to even consider changing your mind, and you're consciously making a decision to allow these things to keep happening.
I know you alluded to this in the beginning that, you thought that they should have held out longer until actual change happens, which would be very, very impactful, no doubt about it. I just wonder, they already mentioned that this weekend they'll kind of start things back up. What needs to happen in between that? Like, if they just take 2 days off and then start playing basketball again, that's not enough. We need the next step. Like, what do you think they need to do to help reach that next step? Is it getting in touch with higher ups? I know the Milwaukee Bucks had a conversation about speaking to people in Wisconsin. Like, what is the next step? Because if they just take 2 days off and then start playing basketball again, I don't think that that's enough messaging.
I think it definitely starts with Milwaukee. You know what I mean? Obviously, just everything that's been going on there for decades at this point. Milwaukee has a pretty sketchy history when it comes to racist issues. So at the end of the day, it definitely starts with them and just really just, figuring out what's next. Like you said, talking to the higher ups. But we all know what people are crying for. It's defund the police, or, it's change, alter the police. And listen, at the end of the day, several of my best friends are cops. I'm going to call it what it is. You know what I mean? I know some very good police officers. So I'm not going to go as far to say that, we should just completely shut down the cops. I know some great cops. I know some great men and women, who wear that badge that make a living, that are really genuine people who made it to that career to be able to help people. You know what I mean? And sometimes provide the help that they wish they had when they was younger. I appreciate those people. But I do think that entire system of the police, and obviously it's a state-to-state issue. I think that's why it's so hard. You're not dealing with the issue. You just press the button on it and it changes. You're dealing with the nationwide issue, and everybody kind of deals with it differently. But there needs to be a serious overhaul of the way that they hire cops and the legislations that is around cops. There's no reason why if you kill a cop, you're automatically getting a death sentence if your state has that. But if a cop kills an unarmed civilian, there's a chance of them getting off. The consequences have to get higher, because for some people, that's all they understand. And I think that's really, in real time, the only tangible change that can be made. Obviously, we're talking about people's feelings, emotional issues, generational things that have been passed down. But at the end of the day, to really get the change that we're talking about, it has to be laws and legislations in place that people think twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many times it takes for them to think about it before they make these decisions.
Yeah, and D-Ray, the other day, and I am mesmerized by people who listen to, say, Doc Rivers the other night and Chris Webber, and on the radio the other day, Greeny had Mark Spears on, who's down there in the bubble, telling some stories, and just hearing their voices are cracking. They can barely get the stories out. I don't know how people can't listen to them and maybe say, maybe I've looked at this from the wrong angle. Yeah.
It's terrible, man. It's terrible because it's weird. In some ways, this thing has kind of brought us together, and in other ways, this has kind of dehumanized issues and people to another level. And that's definitely kind of the trade-off that's happened with this. Like I said, we're talking about human beings. I'm pretty sure we're all made up of the same thing. We're all the same color on the inside. We're talking about human beings fearing for their life in their country by people who were sworn to protect them. For anybody who doesn't understand that or says it's a political issue, I don't. That's what I'm saying. I've gotten to a point where I can't even argue with that anymore, because it's those people, you're crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And It's like, just put yourself in those shoes.
Here's the problem, D-Ray.
Imagine that's this side.
Here's the problem. We need to change those people. Those are the people that the message needs to hit. So we need to find a way to somehow, instead of, well, I get ignoring them because it's almost like you're never going to get through to these people, but we need to. We need to get through to those people.
Absolutely, but those people have to be willing to be able to have that coming to them. You know what I mean? Some people, they start to hear these issues even come up, and it's like politics or religion. They don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like they just shut down the conversation. Those same people have to be open to changing their minds, or maybe saying, maybe this isn't a political issue. You know what I mean? It's, at the end of the day, it's a lot of people talking. I'm sorry right now, I'm one of them, but everybody just has to listen to everybody else and really try to empathize and sympathize with what's going on. Like I said, if you can't, imagine if that was your son.
Well, and it's interesting because, we talked about this earlier, and people have questioned, why is the NHL not playing tonight and why is baseball not? And, my answer was, you know what? There's a lot of people, sadly, I feel bad for these people who have said, I don't want to watch the NBA anymore. I don't want all this stuff in my face. I'm not watching it. Fine. That same guy better also say, I'm not watching the NHL anymore. And if he doesn't, I think that tells a pretty big story.
Exactly. And it does. It really does. It tells a huge story about that person. Like I said, if you can't really sympathize and empathize, imagine if that was your son. I think a lot of people stay away from these issues because at the end of the day, they understand that it's going to take work on themselves and the way that they perceive certain groups and certain types of people. And they're really going to have to look into a mirror and be like, what have I done to either slow this thing up or contribute to it? And that's where I think a lot of people struggle, because they realize for these issues to really change, it's going to take everybody. Yeah, and a lot of people aren't willing to put in that work.
And this is a good text message that just came in. It says, I wasn't an NBA fan. I only pay attention during the playoffs. But I agree with Mike that if people boycotting for what they believe is going to stop you from watching sports, then you don't really love sports to begin with. I may not 100% be with everything that BLM stands for, but I do believe some changes needed. But like you just said, it's not getting the message to the people who stopped watching. So there's there's a couple of things there. But the fact of the matter is, these people who say they don't watch, then you don't really love sports. You're just, you're finding an excuse to break yourself out. And I think it's the underlying excuse that you're using is an ugly one.
Exactly, man. And what brings people together more than sports? You look at historically how many groups have come together, how many different types of people. Look at what happened with the U.S. women's national team in this past year, and Meg Rapinoe coming out and making her comments. You think about how many different types of people sports brings together. That's the beauty of it. So for you to go against that because of somebody, like you said, stand up for what they believe in, it's just, like I said, I'm not defeated, but I sound the way I sound because it's just like, are you kidding me? Yeah, I almost don't understand how people don't see it, but it is what it is.
I will be remiss if we don't ask you why you're here. Brett Brown was fired 7 years, and there's a lot to kind of take in there. But Elton Brand, he's now going to be the guy. He said he's not trading Ben and Joel. There's been a lot of accountability questions about Joel Embiid. Where do you kind of stand on what's next for this franchise?
First off, I mean, it was a shame that happened with Brett Brown. I'm not going to say I don't completely understand it, but,
Hey, look, I could say that Brett Brown was my favorite coach of all time, which is not true. It had to be done, right? There was nothing else they could do to really.
Yeah, it was. Exactly. I get it. Let's call it what it is. It's a pecking order. Next up is Joel Embiid. You know what I mean? But as far as his accountability, I got to be honest. He did a lot of what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to show up for his team. He said he was turning into a different animal. I think his confidence took hits at times, but we almost forgot that he was injured before the playoffs started because of how well he played. Like, he did his part. I'm gonna call it what it is. I could see why some people feel like they still need more out of him and they still want more out of him, especially for how much he was paid. But Joel Embiid did his part. I think it's on Elton Brand and the rest upstairs to figure out to the pieces around this team that's going to work, and a coach that's really going to continue to build this team. I think we take for granted that Joel Embiid's only really been playing for 3 years in the NBA. Ben Simmons has really only just finished up. There's 4 years for Joel Embiid, 3 years for Ben Simmons, but both of them is kind of, it's an asterisk on that because of injuries. You can't buy experience. And I think because they're such superstars, we expect it to happen now, but Bros always talks about this, like, this is a grown man league. You know what I mean? A lot of guys don't start winning until they're 27, 28.
Yep.
But we're in Philly. Ain't nobody patient enough for
Well, we would be remiss not to ask you, who played for Jay Wright. His name has come up.
that.
Number one, how do you think that is a realistic name?
Not at all.
Come on, D-Ray, let us dream a little.
Seriously,
No.
you don't think he has any interest in coaching in the NBA or just this particular situation?
I mean, I just think where Nova is right now as a program to leave at this point as much as he's worked to build this program up to where it is now would be ridiculous.
What more does he have to accomplish there, though? He's won 2 national championships.
Make it 5.
Hey, man, I was about to say, it ain't. I don't think it's a cap on those. I don't think it's a limit. I'm pretty sure it's a
Yeah,
dude out
once
there
you
with
win
11
2,
of
they
them.
don't mean anymore.
That's
you know?
fair.
It's
I'm
like,
just saying,
he needs these.
Maybe he has other goals to say, I've accomplished everything here. I want to, some people like to get challenged at that next level. You're saying he's not that guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. He knows. Listen, I will. I made it through there. He loves the challenge. I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying in the sense of like, he loves Nova. You know what I mean? That's really where his heart is. And whoever takes that Sixers job and call it what it is, they're going to be expected to win immediately. The Sixers are looking for their Steve Kerr at this point.
Gotcha.
And
now, do
in many
you
ways,
think
Brett Brown was kind of the Mark Jackson?
So many people think Jay Wright would just slide in and fix the Sixers' problem, that he's the right temperament, the right guy. Do you think that he is the right guy for this roster?
I'm going to just say it like this. You can't coach college the way you coach the NBA. So,
in other words, he chews your guys' asses out.
D-Ray was running a lot of suicides.
Exactly.
And he was coming in last, too.
Yeah, no. No, I think his coaching style is perfect for college. I think that he could coach in the NBA if he wanted to, but I don't think he will.
All right, Darryl Reynolds played for Jay Wright. He was a member of the 2016 national champion Villanova Wildcats. And good conversation to start things off, D. And we hope to be able to talk more hoops the next time that we catch up. Don't forget the Processed Podcast. And, of course, Darryl Reynolds, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Thanks, pal.
All right, fellas, I saw you.